Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. Before we begin, as usual, I'd like to first and foremost thank you so very much for the continued engagement that you guys are doing. Comments, likes, subscribes. You guys are absolutely amazing. I would like to also ask each and every one of you, please consider whitelisting ads to continue growing this channel. Now, without further ado, let's jump into the conversation. So, this could easily be a short, and I can just say, oh, you know what, Windows 10 is dying, download Linux, and add a rage bait title. But because of the nature of my channel and what I want to achieve with it, I really wanted to engage more with you, the viewer, and have a lengthy discussion and then maybe do a couple demonstrations on how to proceed. So, as we all know, the end of Windows 10 is coming in October of this year, so October 2025. And whether we kind of want to admit it or not, a lot of people are going to be faced with a very large decision. Whether or not they want to continue the Windows 10 support, which is going to last a couple of months. I think it was 6 or 9 months or something like that. Whether they're going to pony up a very decent amount of money. We're talking about five, six, $800 for a new computer for the latest and greatest, so they can run Windows 11 smoothly, or whether or not they can visit a site just like this one and kind of dive into the alternate operating systems availability and options that they have out there. So let's kind of dissect because it's a fairly engaging subject, which I have oftentimes with my coworkers, with my friends, and with other people who are engaged into the IT community, and whether we agree on it or not, or whether we find a common discussion point, we always kind of come across the same conclusion, and that it's always, not everybody is going to want to jump ship from Windows 10 to whether it's going to be Windows 11 or an alternative Linux operating system, or people are just going to want to jump from Windows 10, but they don't want to go to Windows 11 just yet for a variety of reasons. Maybe they don't like how the operating system works. Maybe they just don't like what it does, or they don't like the tracking and the data, or maybe they just don't want to or can't afford it. And these are all viable options, and nobody can be blamed for what they do with their money. So and on the subject of of money, there's another sub subject that kind of creeps up, is that if you have bought your computer in the last 2, 3, 4, 5 years, or even just last year, you know why why are you being told that you need to throw your computer away, or you need to e-waste your computer away, when your system is functioning perfectly fine, and but it's not compatible with like the latest standard? Well, I came across Endof10.org, which kind of deep dives a little bit into the multitudes of subjects of how um, you can extend the longevity of your computer. And let's be honest. Some of the conclusions that you, as the average home user, right? Average home user. We're not talking about enterprise. We're not talking about people who are extremely knowledgeable, or super geeks who they have like seven different operating systems on a computer or whatever. No, we're just talking about the average user who, I want to say, doesn't know any better, but should, because I mean, both should and shouldn't, because I mean, people are busy with their lives, man. It doesn't matter if you're super extremely knowledgeable about the computer that's right in front of you, as long as it does what you need it to do. Kind of like a car, and whether or not you're a mechanic. You know, you drive a car, right? But can you fix it on the side of the road? You can do some basic maintenance, like change the tire, change the oil, change some filters here and there, and that's pretty much it. But for some of the most advanced stuff, so all of that just to say that as long as you're aware that there's things that you can handle yourself and that there's things that you can't handle yourself, you're good, right? You're still able to use your device to own it and do whatever. And as long as it gets the work done for you, then it's your device. Go crazy. You can do whatever you want. It belongs to you. And a lot of the controversial things that I have kind of discussed with users across YouTube, across Reddit, across different discussion forums, is that starting with Windows 11, or sorry, starting with Windows 10, and then advancement with Windows 11, is that there's a very increasing encroachment on privacy surveys, or sorry, or private information collection, surveys, monitoring, um, telemetry, and all sorts of, I guess, unwanted behavior that your operating system performs. That's, whether it's collecting information on you, whether it's collecting information on your habits, a little bit of everything. And I would assume that, leaving a digital trace on the internet, especially in this day and age when your online presence can make or break you, uh, is very important. And you, as the user, you need to be aware that this exists. Now, there's more than one way on how to mitigate. There's different services who provide um, advanced and more detailed advice on how to stay on the internet. There's services who you can pay to remove your personal information from the internet. There's credit monitoring services, right? Like if you can think it, there's probably a service. And with the advancement of AI and machine learning technologies, it becomes even more dangerous because that data is also used to train those models. And you know, not everybody wants that. So, uh, kind of let's steer back into the subject and say it's inevitable, right? Not everybody wants to proceed with Windows 11, but not everybody also wants to shell out a, on the upper three digits, lower four digits amount of dollars, whether it's US, Canadian, or Mexican pesos, or whatever it is, that in a new machine just to stay current. Another concern is all the vulnerabilities that are being discovered, all the 0 days, but that's a more advanced subject that we're going to be covering in a different video. And there there is importance for you to stay up to date, but there is not that great of an importance for you to get locked out of your hardware for the sake of staying up to date. I hope I articulated that correctly, but we're going to dive into that as well. So there's a lot of good arguments on this website, Endof10, and probably the best selling point is that you don't have to buy new hardware and you don't have licensing costs. Linux is freeware. It's open source. It's free. There are some Linux distributions that you can pay to support the developers, and then you get some freebies that are additional. They're fantastic. But the majority of distributions, especially the ones that I'm going to go into, are free of charge. So you just install it and you use it, and that's it. For different use cases, there's different Linux operating systems. There's ones that are tailored around enhanced privacy. There's ones that are tailored around usability. There's different ones that are tailored around catering to lower hardware or children. And by that I mean they're they're filtering out of content. They're engaging with the user to teach them in whether it's going to be a friendly manner. There's gaming oriented distros. There's security oriented distros. Like for example, if you guys know Kali Linux, it's oriented both for security and penetration testing because it's got all these tools that are integrated and they work fantastic on Kali Linux. And there's a lot of use depending on the type of purpose that you tailor your OS to have. So and it's good for the planet. I suppose you can make a pretty good argument because you're extending the life of your device. If you don't throw your device away, then you continue to reuse it. You continue to keep it alive, and the longer you keep it alive, the longer you keep it out of a dump, out of a e-waste site, and you don't have to worry about buying a new computer because the current one that you have still works. Another one is community and professional support. So as I mentioned earlier, there are some distributions where you can pay, but it's not really payment in the licensing way. It's more where you make a contribution towards the developers, and in return they give you more professional oriented support, something that they particularly know probably better than somebody else. And community is if you're a little patient, or if you are good in troubleshooting, you like digging, you like puzzles, you like solving problems, then communities such as Reddit subforums, Discord groups, regular forums, and blogs out on the internet have solutions. And last but not least, obviously, it's better use control. I have personally found, especially in my home labbing experience, every time I use a Linux distribution, regardless of what it's for, I find that it's a lot easier to use than a Windows system. And what do I mean by that? It's not in the traditional sense where, oh, it's point and click and whatever, and it just does whatever I need it to do. There is, I'm not gonna lie to you, okay, there's a little bit of elbow grease involved in getting the operating system to look, feel, work, and do exactly what you want it to do, exactly the way you want it to do it. And it achieves that better than Windows. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not here and I'm not going to preach to you like, oh my god, Linux is like the next best thing. It's absolutely mandatory that you leave Windows and you go to Linux. That's not what I'm making this video. It's more just to introduce you to the different options available out there, because a lot of people think, oh my god, it's Windows nothing. Well, allow me to introduce you to a world of alternatives, a world where your hardware, your property is still usable in a way that it is advantageous, safe, it protects you, and it gives you more options, and still secure on top of it all. So let's discuss a little bit, because I did say, because I'm not here to tell you that it's Linux and nothing else on the planet. I still want to give you guys a couple of alternatives that are available, if you want to continue using the Windows platform, and there's nothing wrong with that. So, in the quickest, uh, I guess in the quickest scenario, what you can say, if you're an absolute diehard Windows 10 fan, okay, the easiest thing to do is, I believe it was $35 for 9 or 12 or 18 months, whatever it was. Refer to Microsoft's website for more details, but the extended support program. So you pay $35 and you continue to receive security updates. But it's only that. It's only security updates. After October of 2025, Windows 10 is not going to have any more feature updates, because it's the life cycle of the operating system. That's it. It's done. They're going to support it security wise a little bit via security updates, and after that they're going to tell you, oh no, you need to move on to Windows 11. The second option is, well, basically the worst option that we said so far is you shell out a little bit of money, you buy the latest and greatest in computer technology, and you buy a laptop or a computer that comes with Windows 11 pre-installed. Another option is, if your hardware supports it and it's modern enough to be on the Windows 11 support list, uh, well, you just install Windows 11 from the Microsoft Store, or you update your computer to the Windows 11 operating system, and you continue living your life. There was a ongoing free upgrade for users who have Windows 10, and within a certain window, if they upgrade to Windows 11, they would obtain the license free. However, that's expired. It's no longer the case. So if you were to upgrade today, you would most probably have to pay whatever amount of money the license costs in your region. Now that's put an asterisk because it does vary. I think by between $10 and $20 depending on where you are. I think Canada is $20 more expensive than US. If you're in the UK, anywhere in Europe, right, there are different costs. Now, that being said, there are other alternatives which I will share in another video of how you can obtain Windows in a different manner. And we're going to be talking about the associated tools. And if you decide that you've had it with Windows, you no longer the breakup with Windows 10 is going to be too heavy for you. You don't want to deal with Windows 10, or you don't want to move on to Windows 11 because one, you're too afraid of all the telemetry that's in it. You don't want data collected on it. You don't want all the ads in the operating system. That's totally fine. I have, to the best of my knowledge, gone through and compiled a small like a small some of the most operating some of the most popular Linux-based operating systems, Debian-based, Ubuntu-based, and Fedora and SUSE-based, and of course Arch-based operating systems. Now, um, the first thing when you're gonna hear a new operating system is you're probably gonna be telling yourself, "Oh my God, do I have to learn everything from the ground up?" In in hindsight, uh, the basis of what they do, like for example, if you're going to just use your operating system for home office work, like processing documents, PowerPoints, browsing the internet, watching videos, the learning curve from Windows to a Linux-based operating system is basically non-existent because both Linux and Windows are capable of doing at the very basic, the very basic operations. They're very capable of doing them. It doesn't matter if it's Debian, if it's Ubuntu, it's Linux Mint, it's Zorin, it's Fedora, it's OpenSUSE, it's EndeavorOS, it Arch or whatever. It doesn't matter. Can it play videos? Yes. And do you know how to open a browser, go to YouTube.com and play a video? Then yes, it's the same on every operating system. Now, for example, whenever it becomes the subject of, like, for example, installing operating systems, or sorry, not operating systems, installing different applications, well, this is maybe where it can show up to be a little bit of a learning curve because if you don't have any experience, you might have to do a little bit of reading. You might have to practice a little bit. It's get the hang of it before you jump ship and completely immerse yourself in the new operating system that you're going to be interested in. So one of the basic operating systems that is out there and that is good, a lot of other operating systems are based on it, is Debian. It's small, it's practical, it's basic, but it gets the job done. And next on the list is Ubuntu. Ubuntu has a lot more user friendly and user facility embedded features that help the user easily migrate. And there's different flavors of Ubuntu. There's GNOME, KDE, LX, I think it's LXDE, which is more oriented towards lower spec machines. So there's a little bit of everybody in terms of flavor. And then there's Linux Mint. Linux Mint is another operating system that is based on Ubuntu, and it is also very user friendly oriented. It's very beautiful, it's very sleek, but it's also got varieties of it, which is more oriented towards lower spec and lower power machines, which are which basically can englobe a larger audience so that more people can try it if they are interested in doing it. Another operating system on my roster is Zorin OS. Zorin OS is also based on Ubuntu, but the way that it looks is fantastic. Now, it was made with mind especially for users who are trying to migrate off of Windows and off of Mac, giving that sense of familiarity of use and feel. So whenever you load it up, it actually almost looks like a Mac desktop, but it's a completely different system underneath it, and it's visually stunning. I really like it. Another one is if you're a bit of a gamer, and this is more oriented towards people who love games, who are more familiar with um, the Steam platform and other launchers. Now, don't get me wrong, just because it's oriented to those audiences doesn't mean that you can't use it. Use it, maybe you're going to like it. So Pop! OS is another operating system, which is, I believe it was based off of Debian or based off of Ubuntu, but it's another fantastic, visually stunning operating system with a lot of ease of use ability integrated into it that is also allowing more individuals to migrate from their old operating familiar system to something new and exciting that they don't know yet about. So this is another operating system, and obviously a lot of the applications that you're used to and familiar with are still very much compatible with the operating system. Spotify, VLC, Plex, Dropbox, the Discord, Blender, Steam, Firefox. They're all there. It's different. It's a little bit of a different method to how they work, but it's still the same program. The result that it achieves to you, the user, is still the same, and it still looks and feels as familiar as it is on Windows. Another one, so Fedora is we're starting to move more into the office workspace. This is more towards people who have a little bit more of experience, a little bit more on know-how. But this is Fedora operating system. It's based on its own thing. It is its own operating system. It comes from the enterprise environment, but this is more a little bit more friendly oriented towards sorry, a little more friendly oriented towards the end user, with the end user in mind, by giving another feel of how user friendly and familiar it can be. Now, this is also one of the operating systems that's recommended for government use as well. So there is also a very good lenience towards security on the operating system as well. OpenSUSE is another operating system on my roster that I have personally used and I really enjoy using whenever I want to, continuously use Windows, whether it's going to be on a streaming PC, whether it's going to be on a gaming PC, on a tablet that I'm just going to use to read the news, or on a 10-year-old system that again I have in the living room and just scroll the news and watch the latest and greatest of what's happening in the world. Now, it itself is divided into Tumbleweed and Leap. Leap is the one where it's more complete and more stable, whereas Tumbleweed is absolutely the latest and greatest. So keep that in mind whenever you try to make a decision on whether which one you would like to sample and install in your system. And last but not least is EndeavourOS. I absolutely am stunned by this operating system. Now, I'm not going to lie, this is something that's oriented towards people who really have more experience, more towards the hyper enthusiasts, people who are very familiar with Linux, who love it, who kind of appreciate a no bullshit approach, and this is for them. Now, more I'm more than happy to kind of leave you guys and have a discussion about EndeavourOS into the comment section below. But it's another system that, once you get more familiar with, or if you're feeling adventurous, you can try off the bat. But do understand that it's not easy to get used to EndeavourOS, even though it looks and feels just as beautiful as any other operating system as well. If you have a more particular system, so like for example a full Intel and NVIDIA build, it's going to be a little bit more elbow grease. You're actually going to have to do a little bit more reading to get the necessary drivers so that your operating system can understand and give work to the hardware that you have. So I'm not really going to jump into installing or demonstrating any of the systems. That's going to be made in a further video, but I am super excited to showcase these to you guys because I want you all to be familiar and to be aware that there is a world outside of Windows, and if you want to continue using your old hardware and you want to continue um, appreciating what you have so far and not throwing it into the e-waste or the electronic disposal or in the garbage, please don't feel like you are absolutely mandated to do so, because that is further from the truth. Your computer, as long as it's still functional, can continue to be usable in the year of 2025 and post Windows 10 era. I I really, really hope that you guys are going to consider at least one of them. And remember that, as I go through the further videos that I'm going to be showcasing um, the different operating systems, it is all reversible. Like, if you for whatever reason end up deciding that Windows is absolutely not for you and you're going to bite the bullet and just continue with Windows 11, that is also going to be an option that I will be providing you guys on how to achieve it, albeit on older operating systems. It is achievable. So there's a workaround to everything, and please understand that as long as your computer is alive, you don't have to throw it away. Uh, Thank you again so much for watching, spending as long as you have on this video. If you're already in the end, I would like to again thank you so very much for almost 1,000 subscribers. I do appreciate you guys watching the video all the way to the end, and I would again like to show my appreciation to you. Um, as always, please like, subscribe, comment, leave whether it's going to be a positive, a negative, an insult, whatever, just talk to me, whatever, in the comments. And please consider leaving ads enabled on this channel so that you don't have to donate any money. Again, thank you so very much for watching. I will see you all in the next video.